Hello there, welcome back, Richie Stormtrooper here. In this tutorial I'm going to be looking at the original strapping kit, these weird little things, these little brackets used on an original Stormtrooper. Pressing on then, we're going to be looking at the system of little brackets and elastic loops which was used on the original Stormtroopers to assemble, hold together all the torso parts. First of all, if you do find the video useful or interesting, please do like and subscribe for more tutorials and more videos about costuming, Star Wars costuming, etc. So what exactly are we looking at here? Well, it's the strange system of these little wire brackets and eventually elastic loops, which is used to hold the torso together. If you are working with an RS Prop Masters kit and you have the full strapping kit, you're going to get this little bag number 12. It's going to be full of hardware, notably these little brackets, lots of screws, lots of washers, which frankly you do not need. You can toss the washers away immediately, and some bolts. One slight disappointment with the RS Prop Masters strapping kit is that this elastic comes in one big piece, so right from the start you're going to have to make your own loops. Now these will look like that in the end. What you want to do is, these are going to be roughly in the end 3 centimeters in length, that's 1 inch and a quarter, 30 millimeters. What you want to do is cut this up to lengths of just more than 30 millimeters, and then you're going to have to sew this yourself, whether you do it by hand or with a machine, it doesn't matter. Fold over the elastic like that. This will be cut off obviously, and then just sew the edges together so you end up with a little loop like this. Also, there is better elastic than the elastic that comes with the RS Prop Masters kit. This is quite possibly accurate to the original, but it's a little soft. It's a 25 mm width, I think. Yeah, it's 25 millimeters width. Just get yourself the really hard wearing stuff, the strongest stuff you want. You only need 1 meter or so. You just need enough to do 9 of these elastic loops, 3 at the front and 6 at the back, 2 rows of 3 at the back. I'll start off today with the chest. There are going to be 2 screws here and 2 screws on the right and 2 screws on the left. These are going to house the brackets for the chest. Are these very tall ones. You have 2 types. You've got these less tall ones, these shorter ones, and these with the big long bracket on them here like that. You've got 3 for the chest and the rest are for the other parts. So we're going to be drilling holes here to take the screws that mount these brackets, and then the counterpart to that is obviously going to be our abdomen, like so. 2, 4, 6 holes, and then of course the same system on the back. We're going to have the short brackets in all these cases, 2 in the middle, 2 on either side, left side 2, right side 2. It's going to join to our middle piece, the kidney piece, 6 screws in that also obviously, and then a further 6 on each side, bottom of the abdomen, the kidney plate and the butt plate. You're going to need the right drill bit for your size of screw. The screws that come with the RS Prop Masters strapping kit are the right size, and for that I need a 3 mm drill bit. That's what I'm going to be using today. It makes the perfect hole for these screws. I imagine they are just less than 3 mm, but no need to measure them. I just held this up against the screw itself, looked to make sure it was slightly wider, and did a test hole, and that fits absolutely perfectly. If you're using different kinds of screws, and obviously match your bit to the size of screws. So where are we going to put our brackets? Where are we going to position them? Well, like anything with the Stormtrooper world, this is not millimeter accurate to the nearest millimeter. We're going to eyeball it again, look at original references. I'll show a few on the screen now. I've settled on in general is, if you want to measure it, what I have settled on in the past has been roughly, let's measure that now, about an inch or maybe 30mm in from each side, the starting point for the outer screw. That's, yeah, I've done 30mm on here. You can do an inch, 25mm to 30mm, inch to an inch and a quarter. And this here in the middle is roughly in the middle. From side to side on the chest, and I keep it roughly straight, that's about 49 centimeters. So half of that is going to be 24 and a half. Yeah, I'm slightly off center here, but it's fine, it works perfectly all right. This is of course not the suit I'm building. This is a suit I've already built, so we want to put that aside and measure it on the RS Propmasters chest. It shows you how good the Trooper Master kit is. This is cast from original. This is the RS Propmasters kit cast from an original suit, and the Trooper Master, the TM, is pretty much exactly the same size. So he's got his dimensions right. He's done his homework. This is 49 centimeters, 24 and a half. Mark that on there for later with my pencil. Or you can also just assume that that's your, optically speaking, that's your center, and sort of trace a line down to the middle. You find that slightly different. In fact, that looks to be what I've done in the other kit. It may appear more optically pleasing, more visually pleasing if you do that. I'm going to start with the edges anyway, 30mm, and that's when I'm going to place the first hole for my first screw holding one of these brackets. Thinking about it, it's actually going to be easier on this return edge certainly to drill the hole from the inside, so I'm going to measure again my 30mm on the inside and mark it on the inside. When you're doing this, bear in mind you've got quite a lot of return edge, but you don't want to go too far away from the corner where the roughly 90-degree angle is, where the face turns into the return edge, because you've got to slip your bracket in there. There's got to be a millimetre or so to get that wire down in between. So a little bit of a gap, but the further away you are from the edge, of course, the more susceptible it's going to be to damage. So you don't want it right near the edge of your return edge, you want it quite close. I'm going to drill that hole there, quite snug up to the corner. As I say, just enough room for my bracket to fit in there. As you can see, my screw fits perfectly in there. I have a little bit of a gap. I'm going to put my first bracket, slip my first bracket over there, fits in nice and snug. Put a nut over the top, screw that in place temporarily, because that is going to show me exactly where my next screw hole has to be. See that? Don't need to measure anything, I just let the bracket show me the exact spacing, and then I can mark that there like that. And now we've got our first bracket already pre-installed. I'm going to leave that there just so that everything, just to keep it out of the way, stowed out of the way, nice and tidy. We know where everything goes later on. I'm going to carry on with the other side, take my bracket that I'm going to use for that, and I'm going to make sure it straddles my center mark, place it in there where the feet are going to rest on the armour, and then mark that drill hole so I can get that snug up to the corner, right in the corner, and it's going to show me where I need to drill. Be careful not to drill through your fingers. Screw the bracket on, and it shows me exactly where the other side is going to line up. Can you see that there? So this is my chest piece with the pre-assembled strapping brackets. That's what it's going to look like on the inside. There on our return edge we've got the screws, visible screws. They're going to be visible when the arm is finished. And the next thing we're going to need to do is line that all up with the abdomen because we need to match up our holes for the other side so we know that our brackets are going to line up properly when it comes to strapping this thing together. You see the abdomen is slightly wider than the chest. It's just a case of making sure you've got the same amount of overlap on each side and then just roughly lining that up by sight. This is the probably most tricky bit to line up because it doesn't actually, it's not a flush joint like that. The other parts on the back, they're all completely butted end on end. Here we've obviously got some overlap, so it's a little bit trickier. Might even be easier to lay it out on your workbench like that. I'm pretty happy with that, and I can even, with the overlap, I can make my first marks roughly where that's going to be on either side, and then just trace them up to the edge when we're done. Or alternatively, get it in position and then drag that like that. It's sort of lined up like that. However you fancy. What you're probably going to end up with at the end is something like a hole, something about 4 centimeters, 40 millimeters from the edge at each side. But don't, whatever you do, measure that to an exact dimension because it's got to match up with that. It might be slightly different, might be slightly off. And also, don't worry about the odd millimeter to the right or the left because this is going to just be the construction that holds these. Thinking about it, also, what you can do, if you've got a strap, a loop already finished, you can drill the holes for your first bracket. You can install your first bracket in the middle position on the abdomen, which I'm going to do now. And you can open up the bracket on the chest on the other side, which is going to match with. I'm going to slip that over that bracket too. Screw that bracket back in place again. And I've already got my first connection as it's going to be when I'm wearing it. You'll also notice there's quite a lot of leeway for that to move from left to right. This is 25 millimeters wide and the brackets are, they look like 3 or 4 centimeters. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, 4 centimeters. So you've got lots of leeway for that to shift from side to side. When you're doing fitting, get it in the middle, and you can see how it's going to actually hang on your body, and you can see then the best positions for the brackets, the other brackets, the outer brackets. That's good. It's just confirming that my original marks are roughly correct. It's a bit fiddly, but you know, better safe than sorry. Then on the abdomen, all I've got left to do is then obviously my outer bracket holes. Just looking at where my marks are on the inside, taking that inside. Get my holes reasonably snug up to that corner. Bit of stability. Same procedure for the German viewers, same procedure as every year, or with every bracket. And there we have it, brackets pre-installed on all of our front body parts, chest, abdomen. I'm going to leave it there because that's quite a big job. I'm going to split this whole strapping system video into 2 installments. We've got all this to do still. It's the same principle, but there'll be another video on that. I know what some of you are going to be thinking. This original system looks a little bit flimsy. It is a lot more sturdy than, it's a lot sturdier than it looks, but it is one of the areas that's susceptible to some damage. If that's not for you, I'll be showing you how to create a more modern, sturdy type system like we have on here in another video. quick preview. So these are some heavy duty snaps on plates inside the armour, which are maybe a bit more durable over time. But that's the subject for another video, an alternative tutorial for strapping, modern strapping I'll call that. Even if the modern strapping alternative is going to be more your thing, don't skip these original strapping tutorials, because these are going to be important in the end, because you're going to want to install these screws, because these are important visual details. You're not going to want to have this plain. You're going to if you're going to be creating a nice replica of a Stormtrooper costume, you want to have all the visible details on the outside. Even if you in the end leave off these brackets and install a different system, you're going to want that on the outside, just for accuracy and screen accuracy, the sake of your replica. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again in part 2 of this video on the original strapping system. If you did find this interesting or useful, please do like and subscribe. As I say, we're pressing on. I'm going to have a whole complete set of tutorials in the end for building Stormtrooper. See you in the next video. Until then, take care.